Hola, buenos días.
Buenas tardes, buenas noches.
This is Barb.
And this is Estela.
And welcome to
Cafecito
and Crime. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cafecito and Crime. We hope everyone's having a wonderful day. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I had a very productive day.
Good.
Very just like, when you just feel like I'm productive.
You were like flowing.
And I got
Getting
up really
stuff done.
early and I made my daughter is going through pre-tryouts for the big tryout, which is Thursday. Mm-hmm. And so I've been getting up to make sure that que tiene, que esté bien comida, pero no vaya a desmayar and all of that stuff. And pack her water and
her snacks
and stuff. And then me and her best friend's mom have been like sending her little messages like con un dulce or, little like puns. So like we pop your bottles or something like that. Yeah.
What?
I don't know. I just made that up. But yeah, so like tomorrow's is going to be, I'm buying her gummy bears and it's going to say, try your berry best.
Yes.
So like that kind of stuff. Just encouraging shit. And then me and her are like, dude, they're going to fucking hate us. Like, but the girls like it.
Yeah.
But we're going to get annoying after a while. So.
I mean, it's only this week. It's fine.
Yeah, but now we have to do it every year.
Si Dios quiere.
Si Dios quiere. So it's going to be 3 years of that. So yeah. Everything's going to be great.
And then you could just look up stuff online.
Yeah. I don't mind. I don't care. Yeah. I could be cheesy. I love being cheesy. I like cheese.
Me too.
Yeah. So, but everything else has been going great. And so where are we going today?
So for today's case, we are going to Arlington, Texas.
We're going to the home of Six Flags?
Sure.
Yeah, that's where Six Flags is at.
Yeah.
It's not my home because I'm not from Arlington, but I'm from very close to Arlington. But that's awesome. So if you'd like to come to Arlington, Texas with us, you can grab your cafecitos.
And let's get started. The first fun, random, interesting fact.
Wait, there's more than one about Arlington?
Yeah, I thought you knew about Arlington.
No, I know about Arlington. I'm just saying, like, I've never realized that there was, like, multiple fun, random, interesting facts. That's interesting.
No, yeah, wait.
That's cool.
Wait.
I'm excited.
The first fun, random, interesting fact about Arlington is that in the 1930s and 40s, it was a large gambling hotspot dubbed, quote, Vegas before Vegas.
The fuck?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Qué padre.
Once the largest destination for gambling, Chapel Hill Terrace, an illegal casino, drew in guests such as Al Capone.
Al Capone was there?
Bonnie and Clyde.
I knew about Bonnie and Clyde have been there porque andaban en esos rumbos. Pero,
Yeah, pues de ahí eran.
Yeah, de ahí eran.
Haciendo desmadre and shit.
Yeah, for
shit
real.
Up. Clark Gable and Mae West.
Mae West. Mm-hmm. Wow. That's very interesting. Yeah. I would have never thought.
Arlington.
I know Arlington.
Yeah. Like when you think of Arlington now, you're like, oh, like you said, Six Flags, or that's where the Cowboy Stadium is, like.
Well, not there. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's in that area, but it's not really. That's what they say, you know, but that's interesting. Okay. And what else?
The second fact is that it is known as the center of the bowling world, hosting the U.S. Bowling Congress headquarters since 2010. The Bowling Proprietors Association, and the International Bowling Museum and Hall of Fame.
What the fuck? Now, and I'm going to call out my sister right now. I want to know if she knew this shit because she's always talking shit about and messaging us and shit. So now, a ver, ¿sabías esto, pinche perra? Claro que no sabías, ¿verdad que no? That they were the bowling.
No, that they
host.
The center of the bowling world.
That is crazy.
Yes.
I didn't even know there was a bowling world.
Apparently, I mean, there's a world for everything nowadays.
I really do like bowling. I'm not good at it, but I do like.
You do it for funsies.
Yeah, for
vibes.
Well, no, when you play with your brother, he makes everything a competition, so then you kind of.
But then he's good at it, so
he's good at everything.
And then we're just standing there like, oh, okay,
great, you just knocked out everything, and we're just standing here like pendejos.
And the last but not least, which you had already brought up, the first ever Six Flags opened in Arlington in 1961. Mm. Did you know? You know that, but do you know what where the name Six Flags came from?
I don't know. I remember Six Flags over Texas, but no sé, like. Was it in? I remember seeing whenever the Looney Tunes would come out, y luego salían las 6 little flags. It was like a German flag and a Swiss flag. It was like all these different ones.
The name Six Flags refers to the 6 different nations that had governed the state.
Okay.
Spain, France, Mexico, the Republic of Texas, the Confederacy, yikes, and the U.S.
Okay. So I was wrong about that.
But you saw flags.
I did. I would always see like que salía Tweety Bird and stuff, y luego andaban las flags. So that was cool. Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that is very interesting. So that was an awesome way to start.
I can't wait for Vanessa to hear and be like, wow.
Hermana, te estamos esperando porque I'm pretty sure you didn't know any of these.
Except for the Six Flags, that it was in Arlington. Like it was
from
Arlington.
Pero I'm pretty sure the casino one and que andaba Bonnie and Clyde.
Ahí haciendo chingaderas.
I'm pretty sure. I can't wait. Like I want to like text her right now and tell her.
I'll text her.
No, I'm going to tell her that she needs to listen to the podcast.
¿Quieres que se lo mandemos early?
Yeah, I'll be like, you get an early access, pay us $50, ho.
So today we'll be talking about the bathtub killer who terrorized the Arlington area in the mid to late 1990s. I'm sorry.
Bathtub?
Como en Latina.
Latina. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We'll begin with Christine Vu. Mm-hmm. Christine Vu was born on it's either January or February. I couldn't really, but it doesn't matter. It was in 1971 in Vietnam. She was 4 when the Vu family moved to the U.S. and settled, I believe, in Amarillo, Texas. Mm-hmm. Christine was the second oldest of 5 children. She had 3 sisters and a younger brother. And her siblings described her as, quote, so good, she was almost perfect. Ay, se me atoró. I'm sorry.
How can you be so good that you're almost perfect? That's crazy.
Yeah. And for your siblings to say that, that's not the type of shit me and my siblings would say about each other.
Hell no. Y'all, that's not what I talk about my sisters, as we know.
You know, te encontramos en la basura.
Yeah. Bullshit like that.
You were adopted.
No, like me, like when we make fun of my younger sister when she drove through the garage door, like that kind of shit, you know? Like la otra, oh, you got slapped by mom, you know? That kind of shit.
I wish you were never born.
Yeah, no.
I
don't think I've ever said that, pero I have been like, we were actually like my sister. I'm like, damn, you're black as fuck, you know, like that, you know, kind of stuff.
She was known for her maternal instincts and knew very young that she wanted to become an educator. When she and her siblings were younger, they do recall that she used to make them play school with her. And she was a teacher of course, and she was the one giving the lessons.
Always.
And, you know, there were the students. And it wasn't fun for them because they said that she tended to schedule it during the Saturday, but during Saturday's morning cartoons, you know, que los Saturday. So they were not having fun. They were not having fun.
Pero yeah, we were watching
we did
cartoons.
That too, jugamos a la maestra, you know?
Sí, pues, pero like not in the middle of cartoons.
Yeah.
Like, wait, can we wait till later? Y luego, I'm pretty sure, like, como era la maestra, she was strict.
Yeah, she was like, by the book, you know?
Yeah, like you, with me.
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
She attended Palo Duro High School in Amarillo, where she was, of course, a bright student. She was a part of the National Honor Society and graduated 12 in her class.
Nice.
And despite being so busy, she still found time to play tennis and teach kids Sunday school.
I'm not surprised.
After high school, she attended Texas Tech University in Lubbock, where she graduated in 1993 with a Bachelor of Science in Education. She wasn't done yet. She planned to pursue her master's degree at the University of Texas, Arlington. In the latter part of 1996, Christine was living in Arlington in the Pear Tree Apartments and was a 3rd grade teacher at Morton Elementary. She had been dating her boyfriend, Tang Ku, for about a year, who also lived with her, if I'm not mistaken. On September 17, Christine got up that morning, got ready to leave, said goodbye to Tang, who was still in bed, and left for the day. Tang also, you know, left. He had his own things to do, and he returned back to the apartment around 5:30. When he tried to open the door with his key, it didn't open.
Okay.
So you see, the apartment had like an additional deadbolt, pero por adentro. So you could only lock it and unlock it through the inside. So his key...
For safety.
Yeah, of course, yeah. He thought that Christine was probably using the bathroom or something. And so he decided to walk back to his car, smoke a cigarette, and then just wait it out for a bit. When he went back to the apartment, he tried it again and wasn't able to open the door still. And so he proceeded to bang on it loudly. Y nada. He tried again and again, nothing. So he went to the nearest payphone and called the apartment twice, the landline, but there was no answer. So he went...
In what years was this?
96.
96, okay.
Yes. So he was like, this is fucking weird, as he was walking.
Because él sabía que she was home.
He guessed that she was home.
Okay.
I mean, la puerta estaba trancada por adentro.
Okay.
And he had a
I thought
key.
maybe like he saw her car or something like that.
When he got there, he turned the knob and it opened. He walked in, calling for Christine to let her know that he was home. And as
repeat that. So not repeat, but go back. So he went back to the car. He smoked a cigarette, and then
went back, knocked.
No le abrieron.
He went to the payphone
And called. Nadie le contestó.
Went back to the apartment.
In the apartment.
Tried it again, and se abrió la puerta.
The fuck?
It was open. Yeah. So as he got there, like I just said, was calling for Christine, to let her know that he had gotten home. And as he was doing so, he heard like muffled barks coming from a closet. And he opened the door to the closet y ahí estaba Caramel, el perrito de ellos. She was like a little Shih Tzu. And then he noticed that the bathroom door was slightly opened. And he pushed it open all the way and turned on the light. And then there he saw Christine in the bathtub. She was naked and lying face down in the half-filled tub. Her hands were tied behind her back with duct tape as well as her feet. And he immediately pulled her out and started to perform life-saving measures, but he was unsuccessful. 25-year-old Christine was dead.
25.
Yeah.
A baby.
As detectives arrived at the scene and spoke to Tang, they immediately doubted that he was telling them the truth about finding Christine.
I wouldn't believe him either.
Right.
Because you're telling me, so you went to the car, came back, smoked a cigarette, and then the door magically opened, and then you went inside.
And you found her.
And then you found her, and Caramel was in the closet? Like, there's no way. I wouldn't have believed him either.
Right. As the scene was being processed, they noticed that there were no signs of forced entry, and the small apartment didn't even show any signs of a struggle, which led them to believe that Christine knew her attacker and let him in. And, Tang, right off the bat, became like a person of interest for, the reasons that I just mentioned.
Yeah. And they always look at the partner first, right?
Right. Especially because he, like you said, he found her, right? Y tenía una llave y no se podía meter. Now, the bindings on Christine were neat. Like they were como que whoever put them on her hadn't struggled, which led investigators to believe that she was either unconscious when they were placed on her or that she left the person put them on her. In the apartment, forensic examiners were able to lift various fingerprints, which we later learned that most of them did belong to Christine and Tang, because obviously they lived there. Her autopsy report noted that Christine's cause of death was manual strangulation, not drowning. She had also been sexually assaulted, and DNA was able to be recovered from her body, and they had found some also on her bed in the couple's apartment. Now, as Tang was at the top of their suspect list, investigators began to dig into his relationship with Christine, as they do. They learned that the couple met through mutual friends, they hit it off, and they began to date. They dated for about 6 months before they moved in together. And Tang was very quiet. He was very reserved, so much so that Christine's family didn't even know him that well. In the year or so that they had dated, her family probably met him once or twice.
Oh, wow. I gente así, que they're just like, no, I'm good.
Not only did Christine's family not know him well, but their neighbors didn't either, which I didn't find strange. Because, do you know your neighbors?
No. I'm not gonna lie. The only reason that I know we know of our ¿cómo se le llama? We know of our existence, but that's about. I'm not like, hey, what's your name? I don't know anybody's neighbors' names or anything at all.
I don't know my neighbors either.
Yeah.
When speaking to the neighbors, detectives were told that, Tang kept to himself and that they don't recall hearing any sort of disturbance that day, no screaming or strange noises coming from their apartment. The only noises that were heard were Caramel's barking. After speaking to neighbors, investigators didn't have any information that pointed to an actual credible lead, despite the murder taking place in broad daylight and during the week.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. And in an apartment complex, that's wild.
Que nadie oyó nada, like nothing.
Yeah.
She must have made some sort of noise, but for her, you know what I mean? That's wild. You're right.
I'm sorry. I forgot to say her mouth had also been taped. The fact that Caramel remained unharmed strengthened their belief that Tang was possibly involved.
Yeah, but why would he put
It was his apartment. It was his dog. He cared about the dog, right? Like, he wasn't going to do anything to the dog. So he locked it up mejor instead of they thought that he probably just locked up Caramel so he wasn't like in the way, you know what I mean? Tang was taken in for a formal interview during which he repeated his account of events, including calling the landline from the payphone y toda la cosa. But was this call made after Christine had already been placed in the bathtub and it was made to kind of throw suspicion off of him, you know? Mm-hmm. Now, he did consent to a physical examination in which detectives found scratches running down his back, which he claimed he got from playing with Caramel.
We've heard this before.
He also agreed to give his fingerprints, hair, blood samples, you name it, and take a polygraph test.
But if they had found semen of DNA of sexual assault, then they could have just compared that to his DNA, right?
Yeah, but it takes time, obviously.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this is still like it's happening right now. He was being cooperative, you know? During the test, deception was detected when he was asked 2 specific questions. Did you tape up Christine? And did you injure Christine, causing her death? To which he responded no to both. And as we know, none of this was enough to arrest him.
No.
And so investigators needed to wait until DNA test results came back. And all that they could do right now was keep tabs on him. Now, the news of Christine's murder, terrified the community, especially the people living in, the Pear Tree Apartments. Detectives decided to expand their search for information to the outlying buildings of the complex. And it had over 1,000 residents, bitch.
It's a huge ass property.
Yeah, it was like a big property. Mm-hmm. So they literally had their work cut out for them. Now, if what Tang told investigators was true, then that meant that Christine was being sexually assaulted and killed while he was outside.
Hell no.
Isn't that crazy?
That is so crazy just to even think about that. And him knocking, but then him knocking might have scared the person maybe, or I don't know, but why did they end up opening the door for him after?
Because he needed to leave.
I get that. He needed to go, but I don't know. That's crazy. That is wild.
As I mentioned earlier, the fingerprints that were lifted from the apartments came back as belonging to Christine and Tang, which I already mentioned, but there was one that didn't. This fingerprint was of an index finger, and it was on the deadbolt that could only be unlocked from the inside. And there was like a defining characteristic on it, that there was like a scar on the right side of it. And Tang's DNA results came back, and he was not a match. And then he was cleared as a suspect. Investigators continued to look into leads in Christine's murder. They dug deeper into her personal and professional life, but there was nothing. Like nothing. She didn't have any enemies. She was not involved in anything nefarious. No, not drugs. Nothing gang
that
affiliations.
Would want somebody to hurt her.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She was well-liked. She was a well-liked staff member at her school. Like, as we hear often, like nobody had one bad thing to say about her. Detectives now decided to focus on the fact that there was no forced entry into the apartment, which meant it could have been a friend, someone she knew from the complex. Since there were so many possible suspects.
Or, now that you're saying that, like, if somebody would come to the door and knock and you know how sometimes
Back
you don't
then,
open, but let's say that she opened the door and then they forced themselves in. There's no forced entry. They just forced themselves on her and pushed themselves inside the door. That doesn't mean necessarily that they're, you know what I mean?
Broke the door open.
Or that she let them in just be like, come in, pásale. Or, you know what I mean? It must have been like, oh, I'm selling books. I don't know. Or cookies. And you just chocolates, and you just like, who is it or whatever, y abres la puerta, pues ya la empujaron.
And I feel like back then you used to open your door, right?
Girl,
like that.
My grandpa and my grandma would open the door to anybody.
I feel like my parents did too.
They would like, oh,
and we used to live in an apartment complex growing up.
We did too, and they would open the door to anybody. And remember, the door was open half of the time, like all day abierta la puerta. People could walk in, and that's just the way it was back in the 90s. You were just, everybody, or sitting outside. Everybody was sitting outside.
Porque I remember us, like we were in and out playing with the kids from the apartment complex.
So the door was always open.
Unlocked.
Yeah, unlocked. Y pasabas y entrabas. You would go to neighbors' houses y te metías hasta dentro al cuarto and shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see the, they keep saying, oh, there was no forced entry. Yes,
well, maybe also like a window, like a broken window or anything like that. And that's just through the door.
Obviously, he went out through the door to leave the house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
Since there were so many possible suspects from the complex alone, detectives came up with a system to keep track of them all. They began to assign numbers to each name, such as, John Doe, number 1. John Doe Remy Fascolacito, number 2, like that. And also all the neighbors were identified and their cars también. They had everything, they had a little system going. And it would take 3 months before investigators got their first real lead in the case, but in the most devastating way. In the same complex, in the Pear Tree Apartments, lived 22-year-old Wendie Rochelle Prestcott. And Wendie was born on February 11th of 1974 in Fort Worth, Texas, to parents Ora Lee, I like that name, Ora Lee and Eugene Prestcott. Sadly, when she was 3, her mother was murdered, and her aunt and uncle, Brenda and Norman Norwood, became her legal guardians. And actually, her mother's case was never solved. So according to her aunt, do you say aunt or aunt?
Aunt.
Okay.
I say aunt, but...
La tía, pues.
Pero I say... People, I see other people say aunt, pero yo digo aunt. Pero because I'm country as fuck. I'm like, aunt.
No, that's something else. I don't even think that's country anymore. You're just like aunt.
Aunt. But I'm like, oh, that's my aunt. It's country. We're in the South. I'm like, that's my aunt. But I always say your tia,
Yeah. According to her tia, Brenda, Wendie loved to spend time with family and friends. She had a great personality. She was very charismatic and, she had the best smile. She was also very affectionate and she liked to hug people. So she was always hugging people.
I know when you meet somebody and you're like, I'm just a hugger. And you just hug. That's me. I'm all like, I'm a hugger. I just hug.
Brenda said that she loved people, not things. She also loved to dress up and she wanted to be a model. She was interested in fashion.
Same girl.
Now, by December 1996, Wendie had been living in Arlington for about a year, relocating from Mansfield. She was attending the local community college, and she was also a teacher's aide at a nearby elementary school for second grade students. Now, on Christmas Eve of 1996, Norman and Brenda became worried when Wendie didn't meet up with her sister for a planned shopping trip. When they didn't hear from her by 11 p.m., Norman went to go look for her at her apartment, which was 100 yards from Christine's. Inside the apartment, he found Wendie in her restroom, naked, bound with duct tape, and face down in her bathtub, which was partially filled.
And she was the same way as,
Police, you literally just took my words. Police walked into the same crime scene as Christine's just 3 months prior. Wendie's neck had also been wrapped in duct tape and that trailed down to her back, to her wrist and ankles.
Oh, so they did like para
atrás.
Como las manos de puerquito. That way, okay.
Her autopsy confirmed her death as manual strangulation and drowning.
Oh, ella sí la metió a la water.
Yeah. She had also been sexually assaulted, and DNA was able to be recovered. There were no significant signs of defensive wounds that would indicate that she fought back, and the tape again was placed nicely on the victim.
That's crazy to me that they sexually assault these ladies, and they leave their DNA, they think that they're never going to get caught. They still do that till now. They don't.
Yeah, you little bitch.
You're gonna get fucking.
You're gonna get
Which
caught.
I get that it's a good thing that they're an idiot.
Yeah, but it's crazy that you're
crazy
stupid.
That they're
you don't think about that.
Stupid,
that you don't think about
that at that moment that you're wanting to get that 3 seconds of pleasure, and you're gonna, not even 2, and then.
But it's in a way if you don't have a criminal record, then there's nothing to really.
But they're gonna catch you eventually. Especially now.
No,
nowadays,
technology.
Exactly. Technology
advances, you're dumb.
Yeah.
If your time is not now, it's going to come.
It's going to come. No, you're going to get caught, motherfucker.
Her apartment also didn't show any signs of a disturbance or anything of the sort. No, ella no tenía perro. No. Investigators knew that it was the same person who killed Christine and Wendie.
Did they find a finger también?
Wendie's clothes that she had worn that day were neatly folded on a chair nearby. Yeah. And detectives believe that the assailant got into the apartment before she got home and ambushed her when she was getting undressed. As the scene was being processed, they were able to determine, based on dust patterns, that some items were missing, such as el teléfono, answering machine, and VCR.
Back then, VCRs were expensive, bro.
As Detective Tommy Lenore, who was the lead detective in the case, was looking closely at the TV console, he noticed a print in the dust.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this print was pristine. Since it was in dust, it couldn't be lifted, so it had to be photographed by CSI. And the print was so clear that it was easy to determine that it was a thumbprint. Like, when I saw it, I was like, even I could tell. I'm like,
nah, que te crees Horatio, que el pinche CSI and shit. Nah.
I was like, no, wait till you see it. I posted it. I'm going to show it to you ahorita. I was like, thumb.
No, ella dijo, I'm CSI today.
I said expert.
I said expert in fucking thumbs DNA.
In prints. In prints and dust.
No.
If it was the left hand or the right hand, which I don't know, but I said thumb.
Yep, that's it. I knew it.
And detectives believed, obviously, that it belonged to the killer. The print was submitted to DPS and the FBI for comparison in their databases, but they didn't turn up any hits.
Not even DPS, though? Mm-mm. So this person doesn't even have a driver's license?
Investigators began to look into possible links between Christine and Wendie. They both worked at elementary schools. Mm-hmm. They were both young, and they both lived in the same complex. And they both shared the same neighbor, Kirk Ronstein, who also happened to be a teacher.
¿Es todo, Kirk? ¿Qué hiciste, putito?
They learned that after Christine's murder, he changed units in the same complex. He went from living across Christine to living across from Wendie.
Huh. So he's like, I'm not going to live here because this person is dead. Let me move on.
Yes. And then she turned up dead.
I don't know about this.
The morning after Wendie's body was found, detectives knocked on Kirk's door, but there was no answer. Thankfully, he was tracked down by Detective Lenore, and they were able to bring him in for an interview. Now, Lenore was very upfront with Kirk about the case and how he appeared to be suspicious. Kirk stated that he didn't have anything to do with the murders and offered up his DNA. And as far as living in close vicinity to both women at the time of their murders, he said that was just a coincidence.
It was a coinky dinky.
He was staying with his sister when Christine was murdered. And then that happened. They got spooked and they switched units. And it just happened to be close to Wendie this time. I mean, which when you say it, I'm like, dude, that is very suspicious. Like,
super suspicious.
You know?
I mean, I'm pretty sure that it doesn't happen every day that coincidence like that happen. Pero that's really...
But like, what are the odds,
what are the odds that happened at that moment, you know?
Yeah, and both of them got killed, you know?
Okay.
But the results of his DNA test came back negative.
Yeah, I'm
not
surprised.
So he was cleared as a suspect.
It really was a coinky dinky.
Yeah. When the news of Wendie's murder hit the news, it created hysteria in town. The media was now dubbing the killer the Bathtub Killer. People were horrified and petrified of a serial killer running around killing young women. And residents of the Pear Tree Apartments started leaving. Like, they were like, fuck, I'm not renewing this lease. Break my lease right now. I gotta go.
Gotta go. Not only that, the fact that they have like fingerprints and you don't know. I mean, obviously the public doesn't know that. But the fact that they have fingerprints and you don't know who did it.
But it's like, I would have left too. Be like, fuck this shit.
Fuck yeah. What if it's my turn? I mean, Christine lived very close to Wendie. Now, what the neighbor? Later, I would have been like, bye. If I'm living right next to them, goodbye.
If I'm a young woman?
Well, you know, as we know, I am a young woman.
I am a young woman. And you are too?
Yes, we both are.
Now, the fact that everybody was like hauling ass out of there, you know.
And you can't even say you're breaking lease or something.
Or like keep my deposit. I'd be like, bitch, keep my deposit.
No, fuck that. Like people are getting murdered next door to me, bitch. Like, you can't even keep this good.
People are getting raped and killed.
Yes, no, I'm leaving. Yeah.
But detectives feared that the perpetrator would get away. You know, just a whole bunch of people were leaving, and you can't tell them not to leave, you know.
But there's nothing really much you can do
about that. And over 1,000
people
people live there, bitch.
That's a lot of people.
As the investigation continued, there was one resident in particular who was a little bit too interested in the case. He would hover.
Metiche como yo. Chingado,
siempre hay uno.
Siempre hay uno.
He would hover whenever detectives, like, there were people at the crime. Yeah, exactamente.
Así.
looking for any scraps of information they were willing to give him.
But the thing is that in a lot of cases that we've covered, there's people que son así metiches.
Yeah.
Son metichones.
He'd also pester them with questions, asking if they had any suspects, if there was any physical evidence, and if the women had been raped.
And I would be like, ¿y qué te importa?
Detectives, of course, never gave him any information, you know? As we know, perpetrators of cases do remain close enough to watch the aftermath and to know in what direction the investigation is going. So Lenore fired his own questions back to this man, asking him, like, who are you?
¿Qué te chingos
¿En
importa?
dónde vives?
¿Dónde vives? ¿Cuál es tu apartamento?
Did you know the
¿De dónde
women?
vienes? Did you work at the school?
Did you know them? What do you do for
Are
a living?
you one of the 1,000 people that live here?
Exactly.
Are you leaving too?
Y cuando Lenore, like, fired back these questions, este hombre, he was like, oh, fuck.
Never mind. Yo nada más estaba de metiche.
Yeah, I was just asking.
Yeah.
Y ya como que se puso nervioso, and he was like, okay, pues ya me voy.
Sí, váyase, señor. ¿Quién le preguntó estar aquí de metiche?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, time and place, you know, you can be metiche, but you can't be metiche with like this,
Dude,
you know?
like, girl, like, I don't see, like, I like being metiche, don't get me wrong, pero de lejitos también.
No,
Like, not over there asking the police, oigan,
No,
¿qué
pero
pasó
wait,
aquí?
metiche, like, with like surface level
Yeah,
stuff. Like,
no. That's what I'm saying.
not-
Nothing like serious like
this deep,
no,
you know,
like
like
el vecino se peleó y se agarraron de la greña. Oh, déjame
Yeah.
Pero from in here, güey.
Yeah.
I'm going to go vacuum the grass. You know,
Yeah.
that kind of shit. Pero de andar allá and be like, oye, ¿qué pasó? With the cops, like, what
With the
fuck?
detectives.
Like, oh, what happened? Do you have any leads?
Te van a arrestar,
Te van a
pendejo.
arrestar por metiche. It has to be. There has to be a way que te arresten por metiche. There has to be.
Yeah. Lenore described this man to the complex manager and asked who he was and in what unit he lived. She knew exactly who he was.
Oh, shit. So era metiche overall.
Darren Menson. So yo le voy a decir Menson.
Menson.
Porque así se dice en español, Menson. Darren was well known in the complex.
Sí, porque era metiche.
He was that overly friendly guy who was always flirting with the girls around the pool and stuff. I feel like there's always one, you know what I mean?
Ay,
You know
pero
exactly who I'm
¿por
talking about,
qué?
right?
Yes, but why? Go find something better to read a book.
Stop being gross,
Yeah,
bro. Like,
dude. Go home.
Leave women alone.
Like they just want to
chill in the
You
pool.
want to go chilling in the pool and catch some rays. Like why?
Yeah, like read the room.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't know how to read the room.
The manager called him Mr. Personality.
That's not even a personality. That's nasty.
Could he have been too friendly with Christine and Wendie? He took maybe like a liking to them and they turned him down. And in return, he, killed them. Like,
It's happened before.
After being provided with this information, investigators staked out his apartment, waiting until he returned to be able to talk to him. Once he did come back, he was shocked to see the detectives. He was like,
what are you doing here after I was just in your face 5 minutes ago? What are you doing?
He was brought in for an interview where he stated...
Qué bueno que le pasó eso por pendejo. I bet you he never went to Metiche's nobody's house anymore.
Where he stated that he was not involved in the murders. He gave up his fingerprints to compare them to the ones found in, Wendie's apartment. But, like the other ones, it did
He
not
was probably
match.
sitting there like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Yeah, he was like, that's what I get.
That's what I get por pendejo. Yeah, I hope he never did that again.
Yeah. He was cleared, of course.
Okay.
But that didn't mean that the killer wasn't still someone living in the complex. And so they continued to work through their extensive suspect list. There were so many occasions, Barbie, in which investigators thought that they had caught the guy. They were like, oh shit, like...
This is it.
This is it. But the DNA results would come back and clear them. And like
it's
here,
so frustrating. If it's frustrating for us, they were listening to it. Imagine like the cops that are
At the
like
time,
at the
like,
time
trying
and
to
they're
solve it.
working, trying to solve this case to find out and make sure that no one else gets hurt.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
and that's how things unfolded for the next couple of years.
Damn.
Until February of 1999.
¿Cuándo nací yo?
Y yo nací en el 2000. Yo nací el año después.
Yo nací en el 2002. Ay.
At 24.
At 24.
Plus
Yeah,
10.
Plus 10. Plus 20.
So Shima Benson was a University of Texas senior.
Oh my God.
On February 23rd of 1999, she was home alone in the Delta Sigma Theta sorority house. In the middle of the night, she was woken up from her sleep by she said, like a presence in the room. She
survived.
Yes.
Okay.
She later says, she was like, it felt evil. She was like,
Se
in the
le subió el
room.
muerto.
So ahí estaba parado.
Okay.
En el cuarto. She says that, when you feel that somebody's like looking at you?
Ya cuando se te sube el muerto.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sleep paralysis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pues no, pero you feel like somebody's there when you're...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that's what she said. She's like, it just felt like The presence alone woke me up, and it didn't feel like it felt like an evil presence.
That's horrible.
And as she was coming out of her sleep, she didn't immediately register that the man was in the room holding a gun.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yo pensé que era como Slender Man or something.
And when she did, she became frightened and started screaming.
Hell yeah. Girl, I'll be throwing shit at it or whatever it is.
The man told her that if she stopped screaming, he wouldn't kill her.
That sounds like something he would say probably to the
and then
girls.
he was going to kill her.
Yeah, and then he was going to kill her. I'd be like, no te creo. Sorry.
He put the gun to the side of her head and demanded oral sex. She refused time and time again. Her attacker was still pushing the gun to her head, diciéndole lo mismo. And she was like, fuck, pues aquí si no le hago caso, capaz que me mata. So she was like, maybe I could use this to my advantage.
Oh, bit his dick off.
That's what she did.
Good for her.
She bit his penis as hard as she could. And obviously, he was royally fucking pissed, and he began to physically attack her. Mm-hmm. He began punching her and kicking her all over. And then he did rape her. And she was fighting back. Tampoco no se dejó.
No. She was fighting back y gritando y todo.
Yeah,
like, somebody had to have hurt
she
her.
Knew, because she said, she's like, I'm not going to die.
She went to flight or flight.
She was like, I'm not going to die.
To fight or flight. That's what happened right there.
Not tonight.
She was like, not today. Not
today.
in 1999.
Yeah.
Not today.
In her
Maybe
fighting,
not in the 2000s either. Because,
In her fighting back, again, obviously continued to piss him off more, so he continued to attack her.
Yo lo que no entiendo, Estela, es que creen estos estúpidos. Yo nomás me voy a decir, okay, déjame hacer lo que tú me digas. Estás pendejo. Like, what goes through their mind? You think that this girl's just going to do whatever? She's not going to fight back?
It's like everybody reacts differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. There's some of us, because I include myself, I'm a woman too, that I don't.
Are you? Not
let me check. No, pero like that I want to make sure that everybody's aware, like not everybody's going to scream and fight and do all of that. But there's some kid, they're going to do all of that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I would be like, oh, you want me to give you a fuck? No.
Yeah.
I mean.
Like, and I always think if I were able, like in a situation like that, like I always think, yeah, I'm going to like fight like hell and I'm going to run.
No, you don't think that.
But I feel like I would freeze.
Yeah, you would freeze. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I'm just like, I just don't, my whole deal is no me cabe a mí en la cabeza, like I don't get it. Like
you're not gonna get away with this forever.
Yes.
Like you're gonna get caught. There's always gonna be that one,
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, at least he didn't kill her, right?
And as she was fighting back, obviously, like I just said, he was beating her and beating her, and then made his escape when he thought that he had beaten her to death.
Oh, so he thought he had killed her. Okay.
After Shima felt that she could get up, she composed herself as much as she could.
Imagine.
Grabbed a rope and went across the street to a fraternity house and asked for help.
My deal is, nobody heard her screaming? No había nadie en la casa, estaba sola?
Estaba sola.
Oh, okay.
The campus police were called immediately. Shima relayed what happened and provided them with a description of the man as best as she could. The campus police, who thought that it was just a random sexual assault case, and they began to search the area for the perpetrator, because she was on campus.
But did they really search the area?
When the news of Shima's sexual assault made the news, it prompted a phone call to Detective Lenore from a woman named Loretta Kagas. Mm-hmm. So Lenore knew Loretta already. She was Wendie Prestcott's best friend.
Oh, okay.
So Loretta, who was scared, asked Lenore if he had heard about the UTA student who had been sexually assaulted. And Lenore said that, that he had heard about it, that he was aware. She then said that the man who raped Shima was the man who killed Wendie.
How did she know?
When she went to the police station to speak to the detectives, she told them about her relationship with a 31-year-old man named Titus Flincher. According to Loretta, in 1996, she and Wendie met Titus at a nightclub. Mm-hmm. He was flirting with both of them, but after that night, he began to date Loretta.
Okay.
And for the next year and a half, they were in an on and off relationship. When Loretta decided to break off the relationship for good, he didn't take it well, and he began to stalk her. Mm. Now, scared for her safety, she kept a very low profile, casi no salía, and it's just very secretive about her location.
De lo mismo, del miedo, right?
Yeah, of course. Now, on February 20th of 1999, she visited friends at a house on the UTA campus, and someone let Titus know donde estaba.
Oh, shit.
And he made an appearance at the house the very next day. He began to yell and he was threatening violence. He told her friends to tell her that she knew that she was in there, que saliera. And if she didn't, diciendo puras incoherencias. No salió. She didn't, though. Now, this house that she went over to visit friends was a sorority house where Shima lived in.
Okay. So that's why she thinks that it's the same guy. Okay, okay.
2 days later, after Titus showed up, it's when Shima was raped and beaten and left for dead. So it made sense, right, to think that Titus could be the killer that they had been searching for. He knew Wendie, and now they needed to find out if he was also connected to Christine.
I was about to say,
Right.
what about Christine? If he knew Wendie, maybe that could have been plausible. Pero Christine?
They need to find a connection. So Titus Flincher was brought in for questioning, and right off the bat, Barbie, red flags.
Oh, my God.
He was not...
First of all, his name is Titus. So let's start with that. His mama said, your name is going to be Titus. Think about that.
He was not cooperative and was very combative. He didn't want to tell them where he had been at any point.
You know what he is? He's a fucking asshole. That's what he is.
And he surely was not going to give up any of his DNA, you know?
Of course not. Because he's one of those that, and I don't even know this
la
guy.
mala.
No, and he's one of those that he's like, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to say I am guilty, but I'm smarter than you. So you're not going to say that. You know what I mean? One of those motherfuckers.
Since he didn't have a criminal record, detectives were not going to be able to pull prints from the database to compare to the ones found at the scenes. They would need a warrant. So for the time being, Titus was let go. Investigators continued to keep tabs on him for the next several weeks and hoped that they would be able to convince him to cooperate. But he was not having it.
No, he's not. He thinks he's smarter than the cops, dude.
Eventually, they were able to get a warrant for his DNA and prints, much to Titus's displeasure. But when those results came back 6 weeks later, they showed that he was not a match.
To nothing? Not even, oh my God, the fuck. But you know what I was going to say? I don't think it was Titus, to be honest, because Titus wasn't after other girls. He wanted the particular girl. Loretta. So I honestly, my heart said it wasn't Titus. I knew that his name shouldn't have been Titus because it sounds like Tide Pod.
Wow. Sorry to anybody listening to this. That is named Titus.
I like your name, dude. Awesome
Just
name.
not this one.
Just not this Titus.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm just saying, I kind of feel like it wasn't him still. I feel it in my heart.
Okay.
Como que there was a tingling in my tingling.
But it wasn't a complete bust, though, because other DNA results showed that the same person who raped Shima killed Christine and Wendie.
Okay, so they're connected now.
Yeah.
All three of them. Okay.
Because of the semen.
The semen, yeah.
And what investigators didn't have before was a victim who survived her attack.
Mm-hmm. Yo le hubiera agarrado los pubic hairs. Así.
When they were able to speak to Shima, she again described the man as best as she could. But most importantly, she told him that he was a black man, which investigators had no clue about before.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
She also informed them of the scar she was sure she left after she bit his penis, which would...
He had to have gone to the hospital.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and that type of scar is an excellent identifying marker. Not everybody just has a fucking scar on their dick. Well, I would think. I don't know.
I would think. You never know.
You never know.
You never know. Pero
if you do, I don't know.
If you do, look, more power to you. Pero what I'm saying is, he had to have gone to the hospital. Because she said she bit she was, yes, girl.
She said, I'm not going to die.
I'm not going to die. Yeah.
With the information she provided, they were able to get a sketch drawn up. They now went back to the list of suspects from the apartment complex.
The 1,500 people?
Yeah. And they narrowed it down to the black men who matched her description. Mm-hmm. Of the list, 82 were black.
Okay.
Unfortunately, most of them were no longer living in the complex.
Absolutely.
The cases hit a dead end again. But it wouldn't be for much longer. Now, in 2000, cuando nací...
Ajá, sí. Yo tenía un año.
Yeah. The FBI unveiled a new fingerprinting system that would allow for the search of fingerprints across all national databases more accurately and extensively than before.
Which I do love the fact that, yes, time is passing and yes, but technology is, so a lot of people that think they're going to get away with shit, you're not going to.
Your time's going to come.
Yeah. And so then I love that about, the United States and about how certain cases
all over the world.
Everywhere, all over the world. But I'm just saying the fact that things are always changing and are always
advancing.
And that's awesome because a lot of cases need to be solved.
That are unsolved, yeah. And so investigators submitted the immaculate print from Wendie's crime scene.
The thumb.
The thumb.
Porque Estela dijo, ella la miró.
I said thumb.
Ella dijo, thumb.
Thumb. It was run through the news system, and in September 2000, there was a hit for a man named Dale Devon Chenette. When Lenore was informed of the name, he recognized it.
Oh, no.
It was on the list of suspects for Christine's murder and was dismissed.
Fuck.
At the time, Dale was living with his girlfriend in the Pear Tree Apartments, whom he later married, 50 yards away from Christine.
Okay.
He didn't have a criminal record.
Okay.
He was very unassuming. He was a father of two. Wow. He was working at a bouncer at a popular nightclub, which, like, all of that just kind of placed him at the bottom of the suspect list in 1996.
Yeah, because he was at that time. Well, no, think about it. When if he killed Wendie,
and he didn't have a
and he didn't have a record because he was a security guard.
No, he was a bouncer.
He's a bouncer. Okay, bouncer. So then, in that case, it makes if si trabajaba de noche y eso era de día. Remember, we said it was plain. So maybe that is a little bit more plausible. Yeah.
Except that in May of 1999, he was arrested for burglary in an Arlington suburb, which is how his fingerprints ended up in the national database. And so investigators were able to secure an arrest warrant for Dale. He was arrested by the Arlington police on September 5th.
But my deal is like, Dale, and good, you're an idiot. Pero Dale, what the, like you, if it is Dale that killed these girls, like these young women, you gave no fucks because think about it, bro. You just went to go rob somebody's house thinking you weren't going to get caught and then you got caught and now you're dumbasses. You know what I mean?
Your fingerprints are in jail.
Idiot.
Like for the thing that your fingerprints are in the system is for a burglary.
Like
you dumb bitch.
You're a stupid ass. Yeah. Because what I'm saying is like, okay, if his fingerprints wouldn't have gone in there, they would have never.
If he wouldn't have been caught.
Exactly. You know? Not. I'm like I said once again. Glad that you're an idiot, but I'm just. It just people just sometimes surprise me in this world. Honestly.
When his home and car were searched, incriminating evidence was found. In his home, not only did they find guns, but also an answering machine and a telephone that matched the ones that were taken from Wendie's apartment back in 1996.
No, this motherfucker did not
keep them
and started using them.
In his car.
He had VCR.
In his car, he had like stuff to break into houses. He had duct tape. I mean.
The fuck? Okay.
You did it, bitch.
You're an idiot. Okay.
Dale was only interviewed once. Literally. There's only one interview.
They didn't need more.
By Lenore. Initially, he was very calm, cool, collected. He denied knowing Christine and Wendie and having ever been in their apartments, which we know is a lie because his whole last fingerprint was in Wendie's apartment.
The thumb.
Mm-hmm.
No, and then the finger in la puerta.
Yeah.
The index finger.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Lenore pressed him hard and laid out what they had against him. You know, his fingerprint, his other DNA, so on and so forth, the stuff from Wendie's apartment.
I would be like, can I see your penis? That's what I want to know.
When he knew he wasn't going to get out of this one, Dale told Lenore that he would tell him what he wanted to know as long as he guaranteed him that he wasn't going to get the death penalty. Dude, when they do that, it pisses me off. I'm like, no, cabrón. Aguántate, puto.
Pero es que está mejor que no se mueran, Estela, porque les va peor en la cárcel.
Sí.
I mean, it's better for them. But the thing is, que son culos, güey. O sea, son pinche culos. And the thing is, okay, let's say that they do go to jail for a very long time. Prison, excuse me. So let's say they go to prison for a very long time. They're going to live a life of whatever they want to, but
they're still alive.
But who says that they're not going to kill them while in there?
Yeah.
You know? But they're still alive. And these 3 young ladies are not. Yeah. Or 2 young ladies. And then the other one, te imaginas como she's going to be scared her whole life.
Lenore told him that he couldn't make him that promise.
So don't tell me nothing.
After that, Dale pretty much said, the conversation ends here then. His DNA was taken. Blood sample, swabbing, hair, the works. Mm-hmm. A body search was also performed, like you were just saying, and they were able to take note of the scar on his pee-pee. Mm-hmm. This was their guy.
This was him?
Weeks later, when the DNA results came back, it was a match to the semen found Christine, Wendie, and Chima's crime scenes. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't all.
What?
The DNA also matched 4 other unsolved sexual assaults in the area. They took place on September 21st, 1998, October 2nd, 1998, December 18th, 1998, and October 26th, 1999.
Okay, so he did not stop.
No.
Because he went from 96,
and
he
killed,
did 2,
he killed 2 in 96.
Uh-huh, and then
98, 99, and 99.
In 99. So he did not stop.
Investigators.
It's just that there was the gap because they
and these are the only ones that we know about. I'm sure that there were.
Yeah.
I doubt he took a break in 1997. You know?
And did he kill anybody or the only two?
The only two that we know of is just Wendie
Mm-hmm.
and Christine.
I wonder what happened and why he took it that far to kill them.
Investigators believe that Dell stalked his victims and knew when he would have an opportunity to strike. Again, he was a bouncer. He was checking IDs of all these young girls at these clubs and bars, which must have allowed him to know where they lived, you know? Now, for some reason, he only went to trial for Wendie's murder. I'm not sure why.
Maybe because that's the one that they had the best DNA or concrete evidence
against,
yeah. But what about
but the state was seeking the death penalty in Wendie's case.
100% because we're in Texas.
Aquí matan.
Aquí matan, compa.
If you don't know anything about Texas, aquí matan.
Aquí matan, bitch. You about to die.
His trial began on January 8th, 2003. And the prosecution's case against him was pretty strong. Like, there was no denying. And, they felt confident that they were going to secure a conviction. He was found guilty of capital murder of Wendie Prestcott after the jury deliberated for 90 minutes. Now, since it was a death penalty case, during the punishment phase, the state presented evidence linking Dell to the 5 brutal sexual assaults and one other murder, which was Christine.
Which makes sense. Now it makes sense if you say it like that. Like they needed to get everything together, but at the same time, first make sure that he got convicted. And the best one that they had probably with like the DNA and the fingerprint and everything like that.
Now, prosecutors began the punishment phase with testimony from the woman whom Dell was accused of raping. So Dell raped a police officer at her Lancaster apartment in October in 1998.
Are you kidding me?
The officer told jurors that she was in uniform at a gas station in 1995 or 1996 when Dell befriended her and said that he lived nearby. She testified that the two spoke several times by phone over the next 6 months, but that they never dated because she got like a real weird vibe from him. Now, during their conversations, he described himself as a jack of all trades. And after...
You're an idiot. That's what you are.
As she was being raped, her attacker used her handcuffs to restrain her after he had assaulted her.
Wow.
And when she asked him how he got into her apartment, he said that he was jack of all trades. And she said...
That just gave me chills.
She said that when she heard him say that, she thought of Dale. She was like, was that him?
Wow. I just got the goosey bumps.
Next, the woman who was raped in her Lancaster apartment in December of 1998 described the brutal attack, which happened in front of her 2-year-old son.
Oh, no. Not the babies now.
Bro, the little boy slapped his legs, telling him to let his mom go.
Oh, pobrecito.
She testified that she fought back, which...
The best that she could.
Yeah.
And she did it. And not only that, but, at this point, you're a mom. So you're like, okay, is he going to hurt my son?
Right.
So I don't know.
It got to the point where I guess she hid behind her bedroom door, and she said that he kicked her down.
Wow.
Yeah. The woman who was raped... in October of 1999, she stated that she was asleep in her Grand Prairie apartment when the sound of breathing woke her up. That would fucking scare the fuck out of me. Imagine.
Yo me cago, güey.
Yo me desmayo.
No, yo estoy bien cagada. O sea, porque yo no voy a hacer que me despierte un breathing hard and shit. The fuck? No.
There was a man in her bedroom, and he raped her at gunpoint.
Oh, man.
She said, I was pregnant.
Oh.
I prayed for God not to forsake me. Oh, it just breaks my heart.
Yeah.
As her attacker was leaving, she asked him why he had raped her, and he responded, I don't know. I'm mad at the world. Okay.
Okay, idiot. Oh, my God.
Shima.
Why doesn't he go and stick a stick up his ass instead of,
Vete a la iglesia.
No, vete. Exactly.
You need an exorcism.
What you need to do is go cut some grass with some scissors, bitch. That's what you need to do.
You need to be busy.
You can't be mad at the world. Stupid ass, what the fuck?
Like, who isn't?
And exactly. And
we all are.
Y yo qué culpa tengo.
Yeah.
And that girl that he was raping, and then my deal is, todavía les hablaba. Like, he would still talk to them. Like, you would think like he would just be
leave.
quiet and just leave.
Bro,
or whatever.
just fucking leave.
No, he's over here giving them instructions and shit. What the fuck is wrong with him?
Shima, of course, also testified, and we actually later found out that Dale cut the phone lines into her house.
Wow.
And then broke into her house.
Mm-mm. No, what is mind-boggling to me right now is the fact that he got all of these ladies' numbers from his job, obviously, or ladies' addresses or whatever.
We don't know.
Or he would stalk them, you know? So, I mean, it's just, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's really scary.
Other evidence presented by the state was that while incarcerated, Dell was in possession of a contraband triangular piece of plexiglass that could have been used as a weapon.
Oh, he knew he was going to die because he was raping women. Mm-hmm.
It was later found by jail guards. His burglary conviction was introduced during the punishment phase. Now, on Dell's behalf, I guess there were...
Please don't tell me he still had a behalf.
He had a behalf. Obviously, his defense team wanted him to just not be put to death at this point, right? They were just...
it's not looking too good for you, Dell.
Various family members testified to his character and also a chaplain. I don't know how. So you're a man of the cloth. What are you doing?
First of all, a chaplain? So what were you doing? Where was the chaplain whenever he was out there doing these things?
I don't think he knew.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure. Okay.
His attorney, J.R. Molina, stated that the goal was to present that he had a good, strong family unit. But on January 15, 2003, 29-year-old Dell was sentenced to death by lethal injection.
I'm doing the finger clap right now.
He never expressed any remorse. All his appeals in the following years, of course, were exhausted, and he was executed on February 10th, 2009 by lethal injection.
Amen to that.
In attendance were family members of the women that he had attacked and killed.
Would you have gone if that was your...
Their family members were.
No. Would you have gone if his family members or the people that...
The people that he...
That he hurt?
Yeah.
Would you have gone?
No.
You wouldn't have gone?
No.
I would have. I would have gone. I would have wanted to see him die. He hurt me. I'm going to see you get hurt. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. Obviously, everybody's different, but...
And that is the case of the bathtub killer.
I don't even think that he deserves a name. He's a...
But what boggles me is like, okay, you killed Christine and Wendie, and he didn't kill anybody else after that.
I honestly think that...
we know of.
That we know of, but I honestly think that... I think Christine and Wendie were maybe
so close.
Maybe his first, times. And so he probably took it. The way I see it is...
But bro, you duct taped them.
I know.
You half filled the bathtub and then placed them there.
No, and
what were you doing? You strangled them.
You had to... That was personal right there, But maybe those two he had been following longer. If he lived in the same apartments, maybe. Or les tenía coraje porque no le hicieron caso.
Bro, he lived with his girlfriend.
I mean, and had kids. So I don't know. I think that maybe those two women in particular, he actually had a little bit of a different relationship with because they lived there and they were his neighbors compared to...
On his end.
His end. Obviously, the girls, the young ladies didn't care. But I'm just saying, I don't know because I don't know what it was in his mind. But this is the way I see it as somebody outside. He probably had a different interaction with them than with the other ladies that he was just stalking to rape.
Well, he knew the police officer.
That's what
for 6 months, they were on the phone talking.
I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And I don't know. Humans are trash. I just want... That's just it. And I'm glad that he's dead.
I am too.
I hope that he is in the
he's rest in distress.
No, I hope that he's not resting. I hope that he is in the very, very depth of hell. And that he is getting...
not having a good time.
No, and that he is actually getting burned with acid from his toes first.
Okay.
So let us know what you think about this case. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like to follow us, you can at
Cafecito and Crime Pod on Instagram. And if you would like to download our episodes, leave us a review and or rate us. We would really appreciate it.
And we will talk to you in the next one. Bye.